Roommate's girlfriend tried to get me evicted, but I got her dumped. This story goes back a bit, but it's still worth a chuckle. 7 years ago, I moved into a 4-bedroom house with 3 of my buddies. It was me, the only gal among 3 dudes, and one of them was the owner's son. We were all pals from college, and let me tell you, those 2 years were some of the best living wise. We all had different work shifts. Since I had to be up early for work at 6 a.m., I snagged the downstairs bedroom. One of my buddies, let's call him Jay, worked the night shift and would get home around 4:30 a.m. He had the room above me to avoid waking each other up. During the week, Jay and I would grab breakfast together before he hit the hay and I headed off to work. We had this jar in the kitchen where we'd toss in some spare cash, like $5 to $10 each, for common groceries like milk, eggs, bread, and the occasional house meals and beer. The rule was simple. If you used the last of the common stuff, you'd take from the jar to cover it and restock it pronto. Whenever we ordered pizza or I cooked for everyone, we'd dip into the same fund. This part is crucial. About 5 months into our setup, Jay started dating Karen. He brought her over to one of our game nights to introduce her, and all was fine until she found out I wasn't just the girlfriend of another roommate. She saw me going into my room to grab something early in the night, and then spotted Jay heading upstairs for his phone charger. When she found out I lived there, had my own room, and wasn't dating any of them, the vibe changed real quick. From then on, Karen would show up right after I got off work and wouldn't leave until Jay went to work. If I stepped out of my room, she'd question why I was there. If I went to the kitchen, she'd say I was being disrespectful to her and Jay. If I talked to Jay when she arrived, she'd practically stick to him like glue. She even griped about me, ruining the mood, by doing my laundry. Jay knew she was causing trouble and started suggesting they hang out in his room. But she took that as an opportunity to make some of the worst imitation noises we'd ever heard. We laughed it off and left them alone. After a couple of weeks, she got drunk before Jay went to work, so we insisted she crash in his room to sleep it off. The next morning, she erupted into a rage, accusing Jay of cheating and me of being involved with all the guys. Then, she demanded I pay Jay back for the food he was wasting on me. Cam, the owner's son, shut her down by tossing a $5 from the jar into Jay's hand. Cam and I had a serious talk with Jay. We told him if Karen couldn't handle me living there, she couldn't come over anymore. Jay asked for a week to sort things out, claiming she was just caught off guard when she saw him making me breakfast. So, we gave him a week. During that week, mysteriously the grocery jar was getting raided. We all noticed and talked about it. My clean dishes would end up in the sink. Little items vanished from common areas only to magically appear in my room. Karen was being sweet, but she wasn't exactly subtle. Cam and I knew she was sowing chaos, but we just watched. After a week, Cam got a call from his mom asking if I was going through something lately. Apparently, a concerned party had sent her pics and stories about me trashing the house and stealing. Karen thought this would get me in trouble, but thankfully, Cam's mom was worried about my well-being. Cam filled me in, and I started planning my petty revenge. First thing, I got rid of the grocery jar. I split its contents evenly among the 4 of us and explained that due to the disappearing stash, it had to go. Karen didn't like this, but Cam backed me up, so I won that battle. Then I started hanging with Cam in the living room every day. She complained, but Jay told her it's our house and we can do as we please. When she went to the kitchen, one of us always questioned what she was doing in our fridge. She stopped going in after 2 days. The weekend came, and we knew Jay had an extra overnight shift and Karen was planning to stay in his room. Cue my biggest petty move ever. Just a little background. Cam and I met in college, where we both studied theater, specifically acting. That Friday, we hung out in his room, right next to Karen's. We made a bit of a show when Jay left and acted like he couldn't know Cam and I were hanging out alone. This caught Karen's attention. We started shaking the bed. Imagine 2 nerdy people awkwardly hip-thrusting the end of the bed to simulate something spicy. It was awkward but oh so entertaining. Within minutes, we got a text from Jay asking what we were doing. Cam replied, playing video games. After 10 minutes, we stopped the bed shaking and actually played video games, on mute. When Jay demanded a FaceTime session, he saw exactly what he needed to see: me beating Cam in Mario Party. We kept this up for a few hours. After a while, we decided to put the finishing touches on. We made a big deal about me needing to go to my room before Jay got home, and Karen took the bait. We could see the little bit of light being cut off in the slightly open door by her watching. Cam and I staged a kiss, and I headed to the living room. Jay came in 10 minutes later to find me watching a movie, normal for me, and asked what was up. I told him I'd been up playing video games all night with Cam. He tells me Karen claimed we were doing more, but I denied it. He goes to bed. The next day, Jay calls a house meeting without Karen. He tells us she's making claims of us having a relationship and hiding it from him. We say she's full of it. We tell him about the frame job she tried to pull, how she went to Cam's mom to get me in trouble. Jay asks our other roommate if he heard anything from the bedroom. Bro doesn't even flinch and says, "I heard, me." Calling Cam her bitch and the usual Mario Party shit talk. They weren't doing anything. Jay asked about the grocery jar. We all told him we suspected Karen. The next day, he broke up with her for trying to turn him against us. He called her a liar and a thief. A few months later, he dated another girl. She was awesome and they're married now. I was a bridesmaid. But the best part, Karen, one of the wait staff, saw Cam with his wife and me with my fiancé, and we told them the story of how we once dry humped a mattress fully clothed to get back at a thief. Yes, Jay knows the whole story, and he didn't mind at all. As for why Jay wanted to know if we were actually together, he's the kind of guy who hates keeping secrets unnecessarily. If Cam and I were hooking up, he'd be cool with it. But if we were hiding it from him like we couldn't trust him, that would be an issue. That's why we played into the whole Jay can't know scenario. Although Cam jokingly suggests Jay secretly wanted us to be together, but nah.